I made $50,250 in the last month as a 19-year-old college dropout, and I'm making this video because you guys can too. 2 years ago, I didn't even know making money online was even a real thing. I had barely saw my first ever video on agency or SMMA with Iman's best business models of 2022. And now I am where I am. In this video, I'm going to give you guys the full rundown of essentially how I got here, because I'd always wanted to be in a position like this at the age that I am. And I figured something like this could maybe give inspiration or help someone else out who's looking to do the same thing. Without selling a course, by the way. I realized for the first time that I wanted more out of my life in probably around middle school. I had finally gotten YouTube, and essentially every day after school, I would spend a lot of time watching videos on cars, supercars, and then later into shoes and clothes, which were really, really expensive. And I'd kind of also started to realize like the average salaries, things like that. And the two weren't really lining up. But I was in middle school, I wasn't really thinking about that. And I remember one time, because all I would talk about for the longest time is I want a McLaren, I want a McLaren, I want a McLaren, even since then, even now, like McLaren sweater. And one day my dad came into my room and, as always, saw me watching these videos. He's like, you're probably not going to get one if you keep watching those videos, right? And I was like, shit. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, no one I know makes enough to do that. And, I stopped watching videos for the next like half hour and then kind of went back to it. Didn't really think about it again, but just kind of knowing that the path that I would go on if I just did what everyone else was doing wasn't gonna get me there. So I knew money was somewhat important, and I tried here and there to make things work. In middle school, I 3D printed and resold fidget spinners. And I started to resell shoes, but that was mostly like build my own collection because actually, I'm a sneakerhead. And going into high school, it was a similar thing. Still selling shoes, now Supreme and streetwear as well. I got into during COVID, flipping PS5s. I had a PS5 method, had the local Xboxes that were going crazy. And I was also working as much as I could, right? I had a job at Foot Locker, and then for just like a local apartment building, I was like the janitor there. Just doing as much as I could to stack so that when I saw an opportunity or would be able to actually go out and deploy money, I would be able to. And keep in mind, at this point, I didn't really think making money online was real. I saw a couple drop shipping videos and I saw some people reselling, but reselling for me just was not working, which sucked because I was basically senior in high school now. It had allowed me to buy my first car, but other than that, all my friends who didn't put any effort into making money at all, they just went to their job and saved their money. They had more than me at that point because they didn't have the downsides of these little side hustles I was running to actually take the money away from them. And I kind of started to think like, you have to get realistic at some point. Not everyone can actually have the nice things you want. And we were doing our, 5-year plans, and a good college job was going to make me 80 grand a year. I was like, all right, we're just going to have to go with that for now. And so I applied to some schools, figured we'd try it out, see what people want for me to get done, and went from there. However, I'd been watching a lot of YouTube videos at this point because it became very apparent to me that while I wasn't super against the 9 to 5 as like going to work, I'm not against that. I'm just against having other people telling me what to do and them limiting how much I can make no matter how much work I put in. So I knew there was some sort of discrepancy there. And a couple of videos I had seen were of Sebastian Georgiou, Jordan Welch, guys like that at the time, who had taken a summer and started a business, started their personal brand, things of that nature, and really change their life from that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to document what I'm doing, and hopefully this becomes something bigger before I move into school in the fall. So I started this Twitter page. Actually, I was on the phone with one of my friends just a few days ago, and we actually found it. And I'm here documenting every day during this summer what I'm doing to resell, whether that's, losing money on NFTs, if I'm flipping shoes, if I'm just going to work. All of that stuff was here because I thought it would be cool. It would help me out. I don't even know what I was doing. The banner at the top is a McLaren, as you guys can see. And still, nothing. I was consistently making 500 to 1,000 a month from it, which really isn't anything, especially when I'm spending 500 to 1,000 a month on shoes for myself. Except you can see towards the end of that Twitter, I'll pop it up right here, I see the first SMMA video, the business model gets presented to me, and I'm like, damn, this actually seems like it could work. Every Instagram reel I'd seen has a rich guy saying, just work hard, just work hard, just work hard. And I never knew what to work hard on. And the agency, as opposed to drop shipping or anything else, didn't seem like luck. It seemed like, okay, if you get good enough at sales and you get good enough at whatever you're selling, you just make money. I was like, okay, we're gonna do it. But just 1 month later, this channel started. Pop it up on the screen. First video ever of me trying SMMA for the first month. And within that month, I had immediately taken action. It's like, okay, this is my thing. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to use to make money. I spent that whole time researching a bunch of stuff. I had this document of a bunch of words that I didn't know what they meant, and I was looking up the meanings. I had found a bunch of YouTubers to help me out. I had found the courses I wanted to buy once I had more money, and I just got to work. I was doing a lot of outreach, a lot of scripting. I thought a website was going to be important at the time, and I was building all of those things. And I just made a video about it and shared it because at the time in the agency space as a whole, there wasn't anybody who didn't know what they were talking about, just being honest and saying, hey, I don't know anything. This is what's going on with me. And it got a lot of traction because of that. I think that first video is at like 21,000 views now. So I move into college and I keep doing the agency stuff. And I'd organized the people around me in a way where I would still be able to run the agency, do everything I could with my partner there. However, I also still wanted to be able to get the value out of the college experience because I knew even if I killed it in college, nothing from there was going to get me anything that I wanted outside of the social aspect. So I made sure to have a solid group of friends that I could do stuff with when I needed to, and also enough time and, just time to myself to work on the agency. And that's really what I did. I was locked in my dorm, doing classes as I need to, passing by, and doing outreach. In the first basically 6 weeks, I had landed a client for $1,400 a month for social media management. I was crazy lucky. And it was probably the greatest feeling I've ever had. That first, $200 deposit, then $700, then the rest of the $1,400 that came through was the richest I've ever felt, because everyone else around me is working a full month part-time and they're getting that, and I have one client that's paying me that every month that barely takes me any time. And because of that, I honestly kind of fell off after that. I was content, okay, I'm making my $1,400 a month. And now that I had that baseline, I was experimenting, trying to get into actual doing Facebook ads for people. I was cold calling as many people as possible during this time. I probably cold called 15,000 people. At one point, there was a week where I probably did 300 to 500 dials a day, just as much as possible, skipping out on a few things that I needed to skip out on to make that happen. And I was really bad at it. I wasn't booking any appointments. Nothing was coming out of it for almost the whole year. I had no direction, no idea where anything was going. I knew I needed to find a direction and actually lock in around that first Christmas break at the end of my first semester. And I had gotten a course, onboarded into the course, and they gave me a plan to actually execute. It was extremely clear what I needed to do to win, and I still didn't listen to that, tried to do my own thing, and it just did not work. However, at this time, we're spending all of our $1,400 a month trying to learn agency stuff. I'm not actually focusing as hard as I should be on the agency because I'm still in college with my friends, with my limited social life I had at the time, right? And nothing was growing except the second half of that payment for the course was coming up, and I didn't have the other 3,500 or whatever. So I actually had to sell my car to pay off the rest of that course, which sucked because then when I came home, I couldn't get around anywhere. And also around that same time, I had cracked my laptop and lost my skateboard. So I went from having a car, being able to work on my laptop and kind of get around campus, to none of those being able to happen. And I could only work if my laptop was plugged into my monitor, which made it really hard because I still had a roommate at the time who was interesting to say the least. And it sucked because I, at this point, fully realized that college isn't going to get me where I need to go. Even though I loved my group, there were so few people who were like my group at schools in California. I was like, okay, I'm not going to find what I'm looking for here. And it probably even worse than half accepting I'm going to make 50 to 80K a year for the rest of my life in high school. This was one of the worst feelings because I had given up my friends in college were honestly awesome, and I'd given up so much time with them because I was busy and I was working and I was productive and I was making more money than them, when in reality I wasn't, and I had nothing to show for it at this point, like absolutely nothing. And I come home and I have to kind of fake tell my parents that, I'm doing really well with this new thing that I'm trying and it's going good, because otherwise they're not going to let me, just go to community college after getting into a good school. And like I just didn't even really know if it was going to work after trying it for a year. But again, like I'd seen in those Jordan Welch and Sebastian Georgi videos, like you can turn things around really quick if you just lock in and focus on the right things. And after speaking with a mentor at the time, he kind of told me a few tweaks that I could make. And immediately I saw these first signs of success, right? I had made my first $500 close, and then after that $1,000, and after that a $1,500 a month retainer. And then I just kind of stayed at that mark for a while. Going from that end of the first year, probably that June, I was able to have my first 3 to 5K month almost immediately. And then that September, I made $13,000. So to go from nothing for an entire year feeling like a loser to 5K, and then a few months later in September making 13K with like 11K of that being profit, changed a lot for me. I was able to, make another video. I started helping other people out with their agencies who needed it in the Discord. It's free, by the way. And it was cool, but I realized that I would push myself and like kill myself during school and all of this stuff to make 10 grand a month, and it didn't mean shit to me. And I just didn't do anything for the next month. I completely fell off. I did no work, and part of, that 12K profit or 11K profit at the time, I had spent to take a trip to Miami for a mastermind. And a lot of the people there had seen the channel, had kind of knew who I was, and they were like, yo, Levi, you're making 10K a month. That's so cool. And I wasn't. I hadn't done any work. I was making maybe 3K a month then, which was really embarrassing. And then after that, 2K, and then after that, like $1,500 a month in December, or $2,500 a month in December, after being someone who at one point had made 10 grand a month. And I was like, damn, did I fall off? Like, what's happened? The first Christmas last year, I had come home from college for that, winter break, and they're not expecting much, right? I hadn't told them I was successful yet, any of this stuff. And that's cool and all. But the second Christmas of running a business and still being a loser, still not being able to provide for anyone, still not being able to, impact the people who I'd like to be able to impact really sucked because I was like, okay, if I keep doing what I'm doing, if I keep putting in the work I'm putting in, not only am I never going to get to the McLaren, the Bugatti, the shit I actually want, but I'm not actually going to be able to make the 50 or 80K a year that I didn't even want in the first place before that. So I really sat down, I locked in, I told my close friends, close family to kind of don't get offended if I don't go to anything for the next few months or so. I'm going to lock in and just make a plan. The great thing about meeting other people successful in the agency space that I have from my Discord or any agency networking event or any course in general is you see the path. You see what other people are doing that have gotten them successful. So I sat down with a few of those people that I networked with that were my friends at this point, and I was like, okay, what are the things I need to focus on? Help me make a plan to get to as big of a number as I could think of at the time, which was $100,000 a month. It's like, okay, in June of 2024, I'm gonna make $100,000 a month, and they helped me work the steps backwards to make a plan in order for me to do that. I skipped out on New Year's Eve with my family. I didn't go on any trips. I didn't do anything. And in that first month from December at 2,500 after falling off from 13,000, I was back at 12,000. It's like, okay, we're back up. I had fixed my sales ability. I'd kind of fixed my pricing, things of that nature. The next month was a little lower, around 8,000. And then the month after that, I was visiting my uncle in San Diego. He's probably the only other person, maybe aside from my dad, who kind of understands the game in a certain extent. He had dropped out of college and is now the CMO of a tech company. And he was really asking me, it's like, why are you still going to community college? Because, yeah, you can get your job at McDonald's, is what he called it, and make your 50 or 80K a year. And you can hate yourself because other people are in control of you and you don't have enough to provide for the people you want to provide for. Or you can make it work. You don't need a backup plan if you're going to win, basically. And I was like, okay, I need to win. So I went home and I went even harder than I ever had. And at this point, I had gotten consistent appointments for my agency and I had improved my sales ability. And in that March, I'd gone from $8,000 the month before to $35,000 cash collected in a single month, with over 20 something thousand of that being profit. So from $8,000 a month to $35,000 a month in that third month of the year, it's like, okay, we're on track to hit 100 by June. Next month, completely fall off down to 16K again. I was at another agency event, okay, learn how to scale. And I'd made the mistake of being different. Everyone told me just do sales yourself until you get hit 100K. And I didn't. I was testing closers. I was testing setters. I was doing everything I could to remove myself from the sales process because I didn't like closing. And I thought me not liking something was a relevant reason to not do it at the time for whatever reason. And moral of the story, it did not go well at all. However, I had learned to retain clients and I had gotten better at closing myself. So the month afterwards, we had a lot of retained clients. We had 15, 20K in recurring revenue that came through, an additional 10 or 15, and we closed $36,000 last month. And at this point, I really realized that $100,000 a month as a teenager isn't going to happen for me, right? Because I turned 20 in July, which is next month. And it just wasn't going to happen. So my parents were going on vacation. Again, I had said no earlier in the year because this was part of my 6-month goal to get to $100,000 a month. And now we're here. I didn't make $100,000 a month. I made $50,249 or something. Last week I made $22,000. And honestly, I'm not sad about that. Like, I'm 19. I just made $50K in a single month. Like 27 or 30 of it was actual profit added onto the account, which is huge. It's such a crazy amount of confidence because I don't even know a lot of other agency owners at that point who had gone to where I am right now. And I was someone 2 years ago, you can see in that first video, I had no idea what I was talking about. I kind of thought it was fake. And to go from not even believing in something to seeing like this in my account, I'll put up a screenshot or something, is insane. And yeah, a lot of downsides came with it. Like my friends didn't understand at first. My family didn't understand at first. A lot of people still don't understand now. It's like, go have fun, enjoy your time a little bit more. But they don't understand that like the feeling that I get after putting my mind to something and it actually paying off is so worth it. Because this was just work that I put in from almost nothing. And now we're at 50 grand a month at a time in my life where most people aren't making this kind of money. And it's also really cool to be able to allow me to do things that I thought were cool prior. I just went on a trip with some of my boys who also run agencies from that, 20 grand to 50, 60 grand a mark, 50, 60 grand a month mark, same as me. And it's just really cool to just sit down and just like talk business with other people who are doing similar things. But they're also still just like stupid, degenerate people, same as you. And you kind of realize that we're not special. There is nothing crazy about us. We just did the consistent work over and over and over again without really any promise of it. And then it just happened. And I guess I'll leave you with that. If you're thinking of dropping out, if you do want a different life, if you do want to like scale whatever you're working on and it's hard, keep going, because at least for me, it's by far the greatest thing that I've ever done. With all that being said, I always get people asking, hey Levi, can you help me out with sales? Can you teach me how to grow an agency or all that stuff? And while I don't necessarily have anything to sell you right now, I do have a free Discord where you can, tag me in there and ask me any questions you want to ask. Go ahead and DM me at Wi-Fi Levi. I'll put it on the screen here, put it in the description, and just ask me for the Discord. Don't ask me for the Discord unless you're following me. I'm helping you out for free. Least you could do is shoot me a follow. And future videos moving forward from here, they're going to be less scripted and just more helping you guys out as much as possible. They're going to be lean because I'm focusing on building the agency still. I'm not anywhere close to where I believe I should be. And so agency is still number one priority, but I'm going to start helping you guys through informational videos get to where I am completely for free. So expect those coming soon, and I'll see you guys. Peace.